He promised God a victory, but he never imagined who would walk through the door first when he returned: his own daughter. And that promise would cost everything. This is the story of the father who sacrificed his only child just to keep a vow to God. The tragic vow of Jephthah. In the days when Israel had no king, the land was torn by war, corruption, and chaos. A man arose from Gilead, a warrior named Jephthah. He was strong, fearless, and destined for battle. Yet his story would not be remembered for victories, riches, or glory. It would be remembered for a promise, a vow so terrible that its consequences would haunt generations. Before facing the mighty army of the Ammonites, Jephthah made a desperate appeal to God. In the heat of fear and desperation, he swore a vow. "If you give me victory over the Ammonites, whatever comes out of my house to meet me when I return shall be the Lord's, and I will offer it up as a burnt offering." It was a promise made in the fog of war, a promise that would change everything. God granted Jephthah the victory. The Ammonites were defeated. The land was safe. Israel rejoiced. But when Jephthah returned home, the door opened, and the first to greet him was his only daughter, the very person his heart loved most. In that moment, his vow became a nightmare. A choice loomed: honor his word to God or save his daughter. This is not just a story of war, not just a story of a father and a daughter. This is a story about faith, desperation, and the dangerous weight of promises. Tonight, we will enter the dark and tragic story of Jephthah's vow, the girl who unknowingly walked into fate, and a promise that would shake the very foundations of a family. Part 1. The Rise of Jephthah. Before Israel had kings, the land was fractured. Tribes fought among themselves. Justice was fleeting. Peace was a stranger. In this chaotic world, one man rose from the wilderness of Gilead. His name was Jephthah. Born to a troubled family, the son of a promiscuous woman, he was rejected by his own kin. His inheritance denied, his youth spent wandering among outcasts. He grew strong, fearless, and cunning, but he carried the bitter scars of betrayal and abandonment. Yet Israel's cries for help could not be ignored forever. The Ammonites, a powerful and ruthless enemy, invaded the land. They slaughtered the people, desecrated the villages, and enslaved those who survived. Fear gripped the nation. Desperation hung in the air. The elders of Gilead, in need of a savior, turned to the man they once rejected. "Jephthah," they pleaded, "come lead us. Defeat the Ammonites. Save Israel." For a moment he hesitated. Years of rejection weighed heavy. His pride, his bitterness, his pain, they all screamed against obedience. Yet he saw the faces of his people, terrified and broken, and something stirred inside him. This would not be a war fought with swords alone. This would be a war of faith, desperation, and a vow that would seal a father's tragic fate. Before going to battle, Jephthah prayed to God. Fear and hope collided in a single thought. In the heat of desperation, he swore a vow. "If you deliver the Ammonites into my hands, whatever comes out of my house to meet me when I return shall be the Lord's, and I will offer it up as a burnt offering." A promise made in haste, a vow forged in the crucible of fear, would later become the most haunting moment of his life. Little did he know victory would come, and with it, a nightmare waiting at his own doorstep. Part 2. The Victory and the Fateful Door. The battle against the Ammonites was brutal. Dust and blood clouded the plains. The cries of warriors and the clash of swords echoed across Gilead. But Jephthah was not just a man of strength, he was a man of strategy and faith. With cunning plans and God's guidance, he turned the tide. The Ammonites fell before him. Villages were reclaimed. The people of Israel rejoiced. The land was safe once more. Victory had come. Triumph was in the air. Celebration rang through the villages. But amidst the jubilation, a shadow of dread loomed over Jephthah. He had made a vow, a promise to God in the heat of desperation. And now he knew the consequences of his words could not be escaped. The return home. As Jephthah approached his home, the air was thick with anticipation. His heart pounded not with the thrill of victory, but with fear. What awaited him behind the familiar doors of his house? And then, the door opened. The first person to greet him was not a servant, not a messenger, not a soldier returning from battle. It was his only daughter, the girl he had raised, laughed with, and loved above all else. Her face was radiant with joy, unaware of the storm about to descend. Jephthah's heart seized. He had prayed for victory, but he had never imagined that his vow would demand this price. The weight of a promise. The Bible is hauntingly brief here. The words echo through history. It came to pass when he came to his house that his daughter came out to meet him, and he did with her according to his vow which he had vowed. No detail, no explanation, only the dreadful reality, his own child, the price of his promise. Jephthah was torn between two impossible paths: honor the vow he made to God, or save his beloved daughter from a fate she could never have imagined. The emotional storm is unbearable. Horror, grief, faith, and obedience collide in a single tragic moment. A daughter's response. Ancient traditions suggest that Jephthah's daughter, understanding her father's vow and the role fate had given her, accepted her destiny with courage. She pleaded only for 2 months to mourn her virginity in the mountains with her friends, an acknowledgement of the life that she would never live. In that time, she prepared herself, knowing the inevitability of the vow. This was not just a story of war and faith. It was a story of obedience, innocence, and the crushing weight of promises made in desperation. Jephthah's victory had been complete on the battlefield, but it had come at a cost far greater than he could have imagined. The story of his vow and his daughter's fate would echo through the generations of Israel as a warning of the power and danger of words made in haste. Part 3. The tragic sacrifice. The 2 months passed like a shadow over the house of Jephthah. In those days, his daughter wandered into the hills with her friends. They mourned the life she would never have, the weddings she would never attend, the children she would never bear, the laughter that would never fill her home. Yet in their mourning, there was a strange serenity. She accepted her fate with courage, her heart aligned with the vow that had sealed her destiny. The moment of horror. The day arrived when the mourning ended. Jephthah returned from the hills to find his daughter ready. Her eyes met his, and in that glance he saw innocence, bravery, and love, but also the unbearable weight of his own words. Every step she took toward him was a step toward the fulfillment of a promise that could never be undone. The air was thick with sorrow, the silence of the home louder than the cheers of victory from his campaign. This was the culmination of a vow made in fear and desperation, a vow that now demanded the ultimate price. A father's torment. Jephthah fell to his knees, his hands trembled. Every victory in battle felt meaningless now. The joy of triumph was drowned in grief. His daughter, his beloved child, was about to be taken from him, not by enemies, but by the consequences of a promise he had made to God in haste. He had prayed for victory. God had granted it, and yet the cost was unimaginable. The fulfillment of the vow. The ancient texts are brief but clear. The vow was fulfilled. The daughter, faithful and obedient, became a symbol of the terrible power of words spoken to God. Some scholars debate whether Jephthah literally sacrificed her life or if she was devoted to a life of perpetual service and celibacy. But the text leaves us with a haunting certainty. Something precious was lost, and the sorrow of that loss echoed through generations. Her life, her innocence, her future, everything had been claimed by a promise. A warning through time. The story of Jephthah and his daughter is not just a tale of war or obedience, it is a warning. It reminds us of the danger of rash promises, the weight of vows made without thought, and the heartbreaking consequences when devotion becomes a weapon of despair. It is a story that shakes the heart, challenges our understanding of faith, and forces us to confront the cost of absolute obedience. In the history of Israel, this story was remembered, whispered, and mourned, a tragic reminder of a father's vow and a daughter's courage. Part 4. Aftermath and Legacy. The hills of Gilead fell silent. The victory drums of battle had faded, leaving only the haunting echo of what had been lost. Jephthah returned home, not as a triumphant warrior, but as a broken man. His heart weighed down by grief, his soul scarred by the consequences of a vow made in desperation. The mourning of a nation. The people of Israel celebrated their deliverance from the Ammonites, but for Jephthah and his family, the victory was hollow. Every corner of the house, every familiar object, now reminded him of what had been taken. His daughter's absence was a wound that would never heal. In honor of her memory, she was commemorated each year. The daughters of Israel would go into the hills to weep for the bravery and tragedy of the girl who had walked willingly into the shadow of a father's vow. This act of remembrance became a testament not only to her courage, but to the devastating weight of promises made to God without foresight. Jephthah's torment. Throughout his life, Jephthah bore the memory of his daughter's fate. He was celebrated as a hero of Israel, a mighty warrior who delivered his people from destruction. Yet within his heart, a gnawing sorrow persisted. Every victory in battle reminded him of the one he could not save. Every cheer of his people reminded him of the silence of his home. The promise he had made to God, once a plea for help, had become a curse, a lesson etched in time. The story of Jephthah and his daughter echoes through the centuries as a cautionary tale. Words spoken to God carry weight beyond comprehension. Desperation can lead even the faithful to make choices that shatter lives. Obedience without wisdom can become tragedy. Through the years, scholars and theologians have wrestled with the moral and spiritual questions raised by this story. Did God demand the sacrifice? Was the vow misinterpreted, or was it a test of faith? The Bible leaves the answers in shadow, forcing us to confront the complexities of devotion, obedience, and human frailty. The enduring legacy. Though the events were tragic, the memory of Jephthah's daughter lives on, not only in the text of the book of Judges, but in the lessons it imparts. She stands as a symbol of courage, of the price of rash promises, and of the silent tragedies that can unfold when faith and fear collide. In Jephthah, he remains a stark reminder that victory on the battlefield does not erase the consequences of our choices, nor does it heal the wounds left by the promises we make in desperation. What is the cost of a vow to God, and how far should faith go when it threatens the ones we love most?